How's it going, everybody? I'm going to do this while I'm on the go, so hope that works for you. Man, this is a little bit more of a me video that I'm going to go into some stuff about my life. So if that doesn't interest you, now's the time to click off. But I'll have you know that I have nothing if not a very interesting life. So I've been divorced about 5 years now, and about 4 years after, and I've been in Minnesota for about 4 years. I moved here about a year after my ex-wife just up and left one day and moved to Minnesota, where she had been trying to convince me to move for quite some time, telling me that it was the best place on earth. Oh, she misses the winter and the autumn leaves and this and that and the other. And I'm like, well, yeah, but Colorado, yeah, $60 ounces. So anyway, she ended up just doing it anyway, and obviously divorcing me in the process. Which good, because it was not a good wedding, not a good marriage. But here's the issue. About a year ago now, she told me she wanted to move to Arkansas, to this town called Friendship, Arkansas. It has under 300 people in it, and it's in the middle of nowhere, in like the bottom 10% of everything except for meth addiction and teen pregnancies. And so I said no. And I said, let's come up with a better option. And I'll say, yeah. And, she fought me on it. I had to go through a parenting consultant and pay thousands of dollars just to make what is objectively the correct decision for my children. And keep in mind, when I discuss all of this, it's being filtered through the lens of having two young children who are doing really well where they are compared to how they were doing before they got to where they are. And so about 6 months ago, she came up to me, on a text message, and told me that she wants to discuss moving. And I said, well, I'm not going to move to Arkansas. Her new husband is from Arkansas, and I just, I don't see that being at all lucrative for me. And here's the thing, it has nothing to do with for me or not for me. That is the question. That which I say is done for me is really done for my kids. I could live anywhere. I would prefer to live outside in a forest somewhere. So, anything I choose outside of that is done for my kids. And, that is the lens through which I view things. So, I suggested Tennessee. And we've been going kind of back and forth, but I've had some questions that I need answered before I solidly agree to anything. I need to know, because she wants to homeschool. I need to know what that means to her. Does that mean give my kids books and just have them school themselves at home? Because I'm not keen on that. I am all in favor of having like a community homeschool type of thing, where parents act as the instructors, but it's, for all intents and purposes, a school-based setting. It is just a little more geared towards actual knowledge rather than just keeping them informed. I'm all for that. That's my preference, but I haven't had that answered for me. And I told her that I need to make sure anywhere we choose to move is somewhere that's going to be financially lucrative for me. Well, and by that I mean that I'm going to be able to find gainful employment. I'm not picky. Like I said, I would prefer to live outside. but I can't. I got 2 little kids. And so I got this book in response from her, but none of those sentences had anything to do with any of the questions I asked. They were just totally ignored. And so, one day she got really upset because I kept asking the questions. And, she said, I've already compromised enough. Dude, I don't want to move. There is no compromise on her end. I don't want to move. I'm compromising by saying if I allow a move, it's to this place. Think about how many freaking ex-husbands, after being dragged through the mud, even though I've earned everything that I have right now, I fought and I earned it, she has put up a roadblock to my receiving that which I've earned at every single facet of this adventure. And I'm just not willing to do it without some kind of openness. And so her latest thing was, Brian, we're divorced. It's my job to figure out what's good for and this is paraphrased, but it gets the general intent. It's my job to figure out what's good for me and my family, and she lists off her new husband, and our kids, which I know I'm not her family. I don't want her as my family, but she's making it seem like I want her to pick my house, pick the school. No, I want to know that where we choose is going to work for all of those. The fact that I'm even entertaining this idea, that I'm even getting involved, that's the other thing. I sent her some other options besides Tennessee because I was the one that picked Tennessee, and I didn't just want to, limit this to the first place that I pick. I don't want her to feel trapped like that. And so I've been doing research and trying to figure out what's best for her goals, okay? And I've sent her a few options, not a lot. I've sent her Oklahoma, and I've sent a rural town near us here. And the answer I got was that I'm overwhelming her with options and making her do a bunch of research. I'm sorry, what? So, not once have I said that she needs to do anything on this. I am suggesting things, and I'm happy to do the research, but I've been given no knowledge as to the research she has done. So she, even though she makes it abundantly clear, which I'm so grateful that we're not married, she wants me to read her mind as though we are, and she wants me to keep her needs in mind as though we are married, while she completely disregards the fact that moving across the country is a huge freaking ask from me, from somebody who she makes abundantly clear she wants nothing to do with. I'm sorry, I'm not moving across the country for somebody who treats me like a pathogen. I'm not doing that. And she has full legal custody, but I have whittled that away at every point I can so that I effectively have final say, even though whatever. But the reason that I've done that, though, is because the decisions she's made, and the reason I've been allowed to do that by the courts is because the decisions she makes and tries to make are just insane. They're just insane. Like, here's a really good example of the insanity. Here's a good one. So when we had to do our sworn financial statements recently, she made it abundantly clear that she has zero intention of finding gainful employment. And her reasoning was that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, here's the problem with that. Here's the really big problem. My kids and her third child, or I guess technically her fourth, but the third one that lives with her, stay in daycare all day, every day when they're with her. I pick them up as early as I possibly can after school because I want to spend time with them. Here's another good example. I offered my ex the opportunity to take my daughter to a birthday party that was a girls' activity. It was like fingernail painting. It was on my day, but I figured they could use the bonding. And so, I did that. I would have gone with. But then I find out from my daughter that my ex just dropped her off and left. She can't be bothered to spend a moment longer than she absolutely has to with my children. And they know it, they see it, they tell me. So, no, I'm not acting like I'm married to her. I'm acting like I'm married to my job as a dad, which is coincidentally why only one of us got married before the divorce was even finalized. And coincidentally, why I'm still single. Because my job being a dad takes up all of that time. And I want to know that if I'm being expected to move my happy ass across the country, that it's going to be to a place where I can effectively parent my children double time to pick up the slack. And so as much as she wants to pretend like this doesn't affect her, my parenting time isn't reliant on my ability to pick them up. So if we move somewhere where I can't afford gas because I have to drive an hour and a half out of my way to pick my kids up, well, guess what? She's going to be doing the driving. And so I just don't understand. I don't understand how she could get away in her mind with saying that she's compromising. What? She has the only ask. There is no compromise. Literally any action that I take to move is a giant compromise on my end. It's a behemoth. And then she's acting like, because I want to know that we're moving to a place where my kids are going to be the priority, she's manipulating and saying that that's me acting like we're still married. How vile is that? You wouldn't recognize the person that she left in Colorado as me today. You just wouldn't, because I have made such monumentous changes in my life that I no longer even look like the same dude. I'll show you my ID, which was taken a year after I fixed my habits and my lifestyle, and I still look like unhealthy. Hold on, I'll show you. And I did that all by myself, okay? First of all, I did that with nobody's help. I was living alone in a condo of broken hearts and absent children. And yet I still cleaned my ass up. Me expecting to know that my kids are still going to have the same things that they value now, that's not me acting like I want to be married to her. Okay? And I think that's a really sick thing to suggest. That's what I used to look like. Look at that. Maybe 100 pounds. So I'm in the right here. I know that I'm biased, but I always try to look at this through a lens of somebody else's situation, But to be pressured in such a really manipulative way, it feels really ugly. And here's the thing. She had already gotten me to consider this. All she had to do was just pretend to play nice. Pretend to act like I matter because I matter to our children. That's all she had to do.